Welcome to building PCs in random places, where the top comment dictates where I build the next PC. But today, we are building out here in the snowy wilderness. We have the parts behind me, and at the end of the video, I'll rate how nice it was to build in this location. All right, let's get started. For this episode, we're going for a $1,000 AM5 platform. But if you're a keen observer, you're gonna see a motherboard, a cooler, RAM, storage, a power supply, and a GPU. Meaning there's one thing missing, one important thing, the CPU, right? No, it's there. Trust me. This is actually one of the more intriguing builds that I've done in a while because of this thing right here. Particularly because of this little sticker on the box. CPU pre-installed on motherboard. That's right, like inside of this box, hypothetically, there should be a CPU. And if not, I got scammed. All right, we got our SATA cable, Wi-Fi, I/O shield. Ooh, normally this covers the socket on our motherboard to protect it. But since it's not there, does that mean that the CPU is there instead? Oh, it sure does. That's fascinating. I've never actually bought a motherboard CPU combo like this. Oh, that's funny. They even give you a ripped out sticker to go along with your CPU. Now you might be asking, why is it like this? And it's a valid question. Potentially even more confusing, you might notice this is a Ryzen 5 7500 X3D, which you may or may not have heard of before. Apparently this is an OEM chip, not meant to be sold by itself, but instead built inside of pre-built computers, which then apparently has translated to this little bundle right here. But since it still has 96 megabytes in that L3 cache, this honestly should be great for gaming. And it was such a steal. If you were lucky enough to snag this combo at Micro Center, the CPU, motherboard, and one stick of DDR5 RAM was $299.99, which in today's market is pretty solid. And it is starting to snow. Okay, I should probably hurry up. My phone currently says that it's 8 degrees, but feels like -8. I'll believe it. I'm certainly gonna lose dexterity in my fingers at some point, so let's get all of this installation out of the way. It's becoming more and more common for bundles and pre-built computers to only have a single stick of RAM, which given the state of the supply of available RAM makes sense. But I did go ahead and pick up another stick of this same RAM to throw inside of this build. That said, I am planning on doing some testing to figure out the difference between a single stick and a dual channel RAM, because as we see more and more builds with a single stick of RAM, well, what does that actually mean in terms of impact when you're gaming or, you know, trying to be productive? Storage-wise, I picked up a terabyte of NVMe storage from Micron, who you might recognize as the company that left the consumer RAM space. So sad. They still make storage drives, at least for the time being. It is Gen 4, which is pretty nice. Even the price of storage has been creeping up, which is not great. I read that even hard drive storage has been up like 30%, even within the past couple months. That's crazy. Oh man, with this motherboard, my SSD is gonna be upside down. Lame. All right, we'll install that. This motherboard also did not come with any type of heatsink for the SSD, which also is fine, especially if we keep it out in the cold like this. Which actually does raise a pretty interesting topic around computers in the cold. Because it's been so cold and snowy recently, I've been researching what happens when computers get too cold. And I did actually release an entire long form video years ago at this point about what happens if a CPU gets too cold. And what's really interesting is a lot of these components are only rated to work above 0 degrees Celsius. Now that doesn't mean they're going to break the instant that they touch anything lower than that, but it does mean they are not rated for it. And that's pretty typical when it comes to consumer level hardware, because they're gonna assume that you're not building a PC or using a PC out in these kind of conditions. Okay, hopefully I keep enough finger dexterity to install this cooler, which by the way is the Hyper 212 from Master Cooler. This thing was $20. It even has a little bit of RGB. How do I install it? What's up with this trend of not including instruction manuals in the box? Do I have to scan something? Oh, we're just gonna wing it. The other day I did pressure test a computer out in like -5 degree temperature to see what would happen. And honestly, it did surprise me that it struggled. Like it blue screened twice, and I've never had that computer blue screen on. One of the most interesting is that condensation all of a sudden plays like a much larger role. Like if you're in a really cold environment and then rapidly heat up, which is exactly what computers do, that is a very ripe environment for condensation to form. And obviously we know that introducing water into your computer system is not great, which is also why snow dropping on your motherboard is not fantastic. So we'll have to be a bit careful about that because it is happening. It's not a whole lot yet, but all these little white specks, yep, that's snow. I don't think it's enough to be concerning yet, but if it keeps up, well, it might be. So actually we should hurry up. We're fighting against the clock that is Mother Nature. Now what's also interesting is that basically every computer component is just a printed circuit board, or at least involves a printed circuit board. And PCBs use solder to connect everything together. And what happens when solder gets too cold? It can become brittle. Although typically that happens when it gets really cold and really hot and really cold and really hot back and forth like a bunch. Less so when it's just sort of exposed to extreme cold. But still, it's just like not the environment that it's like expected you to be using it in. Look at that, despite the cold, our CPU thermal paste is still so happy. Installed these brackets in the wrong orientation, whoops. That's what happens when there's no instructions. I took a 50-50 chance and I lost. Normally would not be a big deal, but I'm losing feeling in my fingers so fast. So we'll be fine, we'll be fine. I will say, it is really peaceful out here. One thing I love about snow is how quiet it makes the world. Plug the CPU fan in. It's not pretty, but it'll work. Hello, me from the future. Real quick, in case you want to know how to actually install this, you're supposed to put these little wings here, like over top of these grooves, just like that. And then you can take these little screws and align them into the holes, which should be lining up at this point. Just like that. And now it should set properly on top of your socket. I definitely installed it wrong during the video, and I just don't want you to make the same mistake. But okay, back to the cold. All right, it's time for our case, which if you step over here, you can see we're gonna be using the Fantex Eclipse G370A. I have used plenty of Fantex cases, but I don't think I've ever built in this one specifically. I feel like I'm like skinning a deer that I just caught out in the woods. This is how hunters feel. Mid-tower case. It does come with 3 fans pre-installed. Perfect. Relatively affordable case. I think this was like $65. Not too bad. Ooh, we have screwless entry as well. That's fancy. I love when you can find features that used to only be in high-end builds in like much more affordable builds. Probably gonna struggle a little bit with cable management in here. Mistakes will be made and cables will be crammed. Let's not forget our IO shield, which I believe was in this box or was in somewhere. Aha, there it is. I have a tendency to install these upside down whenever I do remember to install them. So let's install it in the correct orientation. And there we go. And now we can plop down our motherboard. Very nice. Another nice thing about building in the snow is that if you accidentally drop one of your components, A, it's gonna have a nice soft landing, and B, it's gonna be pretty easy to find. Assuming, of course, that it doesn't get wet and like, you know, shorts out. But honestly, all the water should not be an issue if we don't turn the computer on while things are wet. Because water by itself is not actually all that dangerous. It's when water and electricity try to play together. All right, let's install our power supply, which happens to be a Lee & Lee RBO650B, which I'm not entirely sure what all those numbers stand for, but I do know it's a 650 watt power supply. It is not modular. Wow, okay, that saved our fingers. You can see all the cables are just squirming out of here. Very nice. Very interesting that it comes with these little latches right here for cable management, which probably would be useful if someone was good at cable management. Okay, we really gotta hurry this up. Losing feeling in the fingers fast. All right, let's go ahead and screw in this power supply. Hopefully I put the fan facing the right way. I think I did. Now another interesting component when it gets to being too cold is a hard drive. Because inside of a hard drive is actually one of the most fragile spaces within a computer. Mainly because that space inside of a hard drive needs to be so precisely tuned. If you imagine this is the data platter and my finger is the reader, this needs to be a very specific height away from the disk in order to properly read the magnetic data. If it's too high, can't read it. If it's too low, it's gonna damage it. And the cold definitely affects all that. Pressure does too, which is why I don't think you can take hard drives like up into like super high in the air. If you notice there's a little hole inside of your hard drive, that's actually a breathing hole. It's to normalize the pressure inside. Do we cable manage or do we install a graphics card? One of those sounds way more fun than the other. Okay, it's time to install our GPU, which happens to be an AMD 9060 XT. A 16 gig card for $380 honestly seems like a pretty solid mid-tier GPU to go after these days. And especially in like the $1,000 budget range, this is pretty solid. All right, let's lay this down. Get over here. I suppose I could have been wearing gloves, but then you have no dexterity to pick up parts or to flip latches or anything. I have tried to build an entire computer without using my fingers by using like oven mitts, and I swear that was near impossible. Once again, no included guide, just a QR code. Although for a GPU, we don't really need an instruction manual. I would say this is a very clean looking card. Nothing too flashy, kind of basic, but you know what I say? Function over form, baby. This might annoy some of you, but my fingers are too cold to remove the plastic. So the plastic is going to stay on for the time being. All right, let's go ahead and install this card. Oh, probably take off this little guard right here. That'd be helpful. Remove protective film before use. Oh, okay, I can grab that one. That one did not require much dexterity. Okay, there we go. GPU installed. And now, the most daunting part of building a PC. The cable management. Okay, we have to do it. Let's do it. Whenever I can't feel my fingers like this, I always think of that one villain in that one James Bond movie. It's one of the older James Bond movies, but the dude literally can't feel pain, which you would think would be a benefit because like, oh, if you get punched in the face, no worries. But pain is actually such a useful tool for your body. That way it knows when things shouldn't be the way that they are. Like if you're hurt, that means something is wrong. But if you can't feel that you're hurt, that's actually not good. All right, we'll plug the CPU power in. Oh, there's so many more little cables. I'm hoping this little amount of snow accumulation is not going to be an issue, but time will tell. Like I said, one of my main goals with this PC is going to test the difference between a single stick of RAM and 2 sticks of RAM. So I don't think I've actually ever tested that myself. I've only seen other people's videos about them. Okay, 3 more cables. Hopefully I plugged CPU into CPU. They wouldn't let it fit if it wasn't the right cable, right? Famous last words, I should check. Like if you're not 100% confident that the cables that you have actually came with your power supply, like I almost would not trust using them at all. Because even if they fit inside of your power supply, the pins might be doing completely different things. Like 2 cables could look exactly the same, plug into the exact same spot. two entirely different things. And one of them could break your components. And I am speaking from experience when I say that I have broken my fair share of computers that way. It's honestly a very common mistake for people to make. I wish there was a way that we could prevent that from happening, besides relying on the manufacturers to like better communicate which cables go where. Okay. I think that's everything. It has been very lightly snowing this entire time, but I'm gonna give this the benefit of the doubt that it's going to still work. And if it doesn't, that would suck. I'll leave the grand total of all these parts on screen because I was going for a $1,000 bill. Although with that second stick of RAM, I'm not entirely sure if I hit it. If I did, this number is gonna look a lot better than if I didn't. All right, we'll plug that in. Let's get a monitor. Do you think it matters if our screen has ice on it? I don't know how that happens. Oh, I know exactly how that happened. The screen was just kind of sitting right here, but if you look up, there's icicles that were dripping right on top of it. Yeah, we'll see if it works. Okay, so the goal is A, for the computer to spin to life, and B, to post a signal. Let's see what happens. Moment of truth. Does our PC work? Nope. Let's try it without the monitor first in case this is an issue. Oh, okay, there we go, there we go. Fans spin to life, that's one of the checks. Now let's plug our monitor back in to see if we can post a signal. I thought the monitor was preventing it from working, but it just took a second. Let's go, we got a signal. Let's go. Oh, that's awesome. Boom, and we posted. Let's go, I love it. Wow, I don't think I've ever seen a white BIOS. Man, where's the dark theme? This would blind you if you were doing it in the middle of the night. That's fantastic though. If you can see past all this ice, there we have the 32 gigs of RAM. We have our Ryzen 5 7500X3D, and for storage, we have our 1 terabyte. It's reading everything correctly, that's fantastic. Meaning now that we know the computer works, I can officially say, this was a pretty nice experience, building out in the snow like this. It definitely got harder the more it went on because I just started losing dexterity in control of my fingers. But other than that, like the serenity of this was fantastic. And on top of that, the PC works, which is even better. Although it's quite literally starting to freeze over. All right, we should probably get this inside. Let me know which location you think we should build our next PC. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Oh yeah.